Who I am. I bet you a lot of people want to know who I am. Okay, my name is Len Shakespeare. I grew up in Central City, Iowa. It's a very small town, and Central City is kind of the center. Some people joke, call it the center of nowhere, but it's about an equal distance from here to Marion, here to Center Point, here to Manchester, here to Monticello, and here to Anamosa. We're in the center, and it's about the same distance to all those places. Okay, there's a large park in our little area, and the fairgrounds, and the community is made up of a lot of farmers. We have a lot of churches, a lot of gun activists. Um, yeah. So I grew up in a house built in 1809. It's small. There was a rumor that that house used to be owned by an undertaker, and I'm not sure about that. But when we moved in here when I was a little kid, the place was so haunted that nobody wanted to live here. And I have to say, people don't like spending the night here. But we pretty much, we deal with it. We've got along, with whatever's happening here. I don't know what it is, but, we're used to it. Let's see. And then what else I can tell you? When I was younger, I used to ride motocross bikes, and there was a racetrack close by called Windy Oaks that we used to ride and race at. Nice place, but it closed. And I think we were probably about at the age of that, after it closed, about the age, to quit. And let's see, I like to design things. It's something I really enjoy doing. I like working on engines that go fast. I like old things, old cars, things that are retro, Art Deco. I like old travel trailers. I like to be outside in nature. I like to grow a garden. I have a pretty good sized orchard, and I grow Iowa white peach trees. I have like 60 of them now. I like to walk on nature trails, but now that the muscular dystrophy is kicking in, it's not so easy no more, so I'm not doing that. I like to fish. I like to use a large telescope at night. One of my favorite things to see out of the scope is Jupiter and its moons. I like to go bicycling, but there again, the muscular dystrophy is kicking in, so I don't know how that's going to be in the future. I like to go to races, drag races. And that's a big thing in our area, racing and car shows. Like I said, we're the center, and then all these places around us. And about every weekend, there is a car event, a car show, at one of these small towns. So everybody looks forward to it every year. In fact, there's a one just up the road from us called the Ryan Nationals every year. I think what else I can tell you. Let's see. So my last name is Shakespeare, and people might be surprised about this, but when I went to my family reunion when I was very young, at that time it used to be called the Shakespeare-Windsor family reunion, and the Duke of Windsor used to be there. Yes, there is the relation between the Shakespeares and the royal family. In fact, I used to have a very long scroll that had the family tree on it, and something else that disappeared when Mark was here. When he put the cracking software on my computer, he's seen it on my desk and wanted to look at it overnight, and I never found it since, so I don't know if he'll give it back to me or not. Let's see, my dad was a mechanic, machine maintenance, and a crane operator. My stepdad was iron worker, steel worker, foundry worker, welder, fabricator. Um, and let's see. And he was. A lot of the people in my family were in the military, so I guess you could say, we were a military family, and I grew up with the motto, "Service others, not yourself." We were very active in the Legion until I became sick. And um, let's see. I grew up a hard life, poor, but I grew up where we grew our own food, raised our own animals. On Saturdays, we would buzz wood on a large buzz saw on the end of a tractor, and that's how we would heat our home. Um, I guess you could say I have a lot of those old-time values because that's the way I was brought up. And we waste not, want not, don't use too many resources, And I think I grew up this way, and I'm still this way. I mean, I don't drive a new car. I don't feel like I need to. I don't live in a fancy house, and I don't want to. But I believe in living well and keeping everything clean and tidy, and the maintenance done and everything. Um, I grew up to keep the land, take care of the land, keep it well maintained. Um, let's see. My dad was raised here in this little town, but there's not many Shakespeares left here. A generation ago there was. His dad was an auctioneer and owned a secondhand store slash jewelry store. But he was raised here in this town by Opal Brown, which was Lloyd Brown's sister. Now, in this town, we have a get-together every year out at the Brown farm, and there is old threshers, the tractors, and they do gospel and bluegrass music, a tractor show, a few antique cars, and a encampment of the 1800s, like the Old West, and a flea market. And the Brown Farm it's turned into kind of a museum. So there's buildings with old farm equipment and buggies and old items from that Lloyd might have collected. So he was a friend of his sister raised my dad, but Dad was a friend of Lloyd's. So it's kind of interesting when I go out there because I was out there when I was just a kid. Now, Dad had a friend that was a pretty famous artist that traveled the world, and he got into studying religions and, like, in ancient societies, like Egypt, that kind of stuff. And I think that kind of gave me an interesting perspective that, and I have an interest in that. I don't know what else to say about that, but it was really was kind of interesting in my life. Oh, he was famous for being one of the only few people that had claimed he reached perfect faith. He would set himself on, laugh about this. He would set himself on fire, and he would do Reiki, where he would set and then he would heal himself. I don't know how long it took. But he was in quite a few newspapers and books and on TV. And I have some of his artwork from when he was in art school in Florida when he was young. On my, let's see, I never got to meet my dad's mom. And let's see, on my mom's side, my grandfather was her dad was in the service, and he was a sergeant. And I thought it was kind of interesting because when I was a kid, he had a great interest in UFOs. And I kind of interesting UFO story. When I was young and visiting, there was a guy that showed up in this car with flags on it, like a, you know, like a president, and he would give us these coins, and I held on to this coin all these years. And when he was there, he was talking about, of all things, you know, UFOs, and he got out this gray sheet out of this folder, and he folded it into this origami figure and put it on the table, a pretty large one. And then it moved like it was alive, but it eventually went to a perfectly flat state. And I wanted to touch it, and they would tell me, you know, you can't touch that. And he origamied some other things, like dollar bills into little figures. And now, years later, you know, we were talking about this after my grandparents passed away, and I got to looking at that coin. And now that coin is a Kennedy $50 struck in nickel, celebrating the landing on the moon. I thought that was kind of neat. And we found one of those origami dollar bills. Now, we've asked around who this person was, and they've come to two conclusions. It's either a president or somebody that was stationed at one of these top secret bases that my grandfather might have been in the war with, in the service with. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you. Something odd about me is I don't sleep much, which made it pretty easy for me working crazy, ridiculous hours at these security jobs that I did when I worked. I worked up to 35-hour shifts. 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, 20-some-hour shifts, 30-hour shifts, and then it got to the other. And it got old, but I did it, you know, for quite some time. I'm trying to think. And I always wake up I'm one of those people that wakes up at 4 a.m. And then for the longest time, I would wake up at 4 a.m. and that was when my best ideas would come to my mind. And I would always, you know, write them down, you know, in a notebook. And sometimes I would go back to them, and then sometimes, you know, I just leave it just partially finished. Trying to think. Been single most of my life, but when I was young, most of the people that I dated were models from the same modeling agency, and I got to know some you know, guys and girls that went to Hollywood. In fact, there was, he probably doesn't want me to say who he was, but some years ago there was one, you know, pretty famous person that was here for about 3.5 hours visiting one day. I'd say I'm pretty well liked. In fact, some people call me pretty well rounded, where I fit in with the upper class, and I fit in with the middle class, and I fit in with the lower class. There's a few people, you know, that I've had my issues with, but, you know, for the most part, most people like me, unless something happened and I call them on it. Really don't know what else I can tell you. My health is not good. I have a lot of health problems. Now they've diagnosed me with the Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy, which is taking my heart. It's not so much affecting me walking. It is, but you know, that's going slow. You know, but it's affecting my heart first. In fact, they got me listed as having congestive heart failure right now. So that's what that muscular dystrophy is doing to me. And I have the Sjogren's, which is, I tell you, the symptoms of Sjogren's is absolutely nightmarish, and most people just can't take it. And then I have cervical dystonia, migraine headaches. Um, I don't know if they still do, but they did an MRI and they found lesions on the brain. Um, had numerous concussions in my life. I got beat over the head with a chunk of concrete until I couldn't walk when I was in 3rd grade by a kid, and that was my first time of having vertigo and balance problems. I had the end of one finger taken off. Oh God, I was in a service elevator pushing a large cart of granite on it, and it let go, and I went down in the elevator with that heavy load, and that's how I hurt my neck and my back. I one time worked on a work crew supervising convicts, and when I got there, the guy kept on telling me that he had killed 2 people, but you didn't know if you could believe him or not. And then when I went to take him to his next job site, he tried to knife me and carjack me. And we found out the next day that he had indeed killed 2 people. Okay, here's another interesting thing about me. Let's see if I can embarrass myself. I like to sing. And I wrote, and I liked a lot of my designs. I sent it off. Maybe it was good, maybe it was horrible. There was one song I kept on going back to over the years that I tried to write, and I couldn't get all of the lyrics right, and then I tried to make it into a poem, and that didn't quite work right. And there was a local music artist that had some CDs out that was trying to finish it. In fact, he moonlighted by doing security at one of the places I was at. And here's the beginning of that song. Driving up and down these old roads, listening to the tunes on the radio. These are the times to remember. These are the times for friends. These are the times I hope to tell my children what it was like back when. But we could get some of the verses that really go pretty good with it. But when it come to the end of the song, we could never quite figure out how to do it. We always were leaning towards, it gets to be a windy, like you're aging, like a windy road, and it gets foggy and hard to see, but we couldn't quite come to the end. So here's another song that I sing every once in a while. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, my oh my, it's a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder. Oh, it's the truth, it's actual, everything is satisfaction. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day. There you go. I like to sing Beatles songs. I think what else? Songs from the Wizard of Oz. Rockabilly. Let's see. I got 9 lives and never lost them all, but each and every time I really had a ball. I got my 9 lives, baby, and I just keep coming back. Well, I really like number 5, but baby, God, how's that go? She buried me alive. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy singing. Actually, when I'm in my best moods and I'm happy, I sing. So, I hope you enjoyed that.